but I want to now introduce Becci, the impact of her presentation. So Becci Bryant, again, I think the first time I met Becci was at Bedfordshire Fire and Rescue Service, and she was thinking about going on a charity walk. We won't go into that, Becci, but you've been an inspirational leader for many, many years, and I just want to ask you to share your wise words about inclusive leadership to our audience of AFSA members.
Thanks, Jack. Morning, everybody. So wise words. I think we've heard some great insight already, actually, from both Phil and from Dawn around inclusive leadership. So I was going to take the opportunity to really focus on how we as the National Fire Chiefs Council are trying to address some of the tricky issues of diversity in respect of leadership and in respect of our own organisations. So I literally have a couple of slides. I'm really conscious of where we're at with time. I'll probably take around about 10 or so minutes to go through these, but I'm going to pay some particular attention to the work of the Leadership Board. And it's great to have Dawn on the call today, because Dawn is a co-sponsor of one of our work streams. So the Leadership Board was established around about this time last year, actually, and it comprises a number of individuals from across the country in varying different roles. It is predominantly chief fire officers that sit on that. However, the important group in my mind are the group of people that sit underneath that, who are the drivers of the work to address some of the issues in respect of leadership development and staff development across the piece. So we have currently 4 work streams in operation, looking at direct entry, supervisory leadership, succession planning, and coaching and mentoring. So at the moment, those 4 work streams are in varying different places. And we know that this isn't where the Leadership Board will end. There will be subsequent work that will follow on from these particular areas of focus, which were deemed to be the most important at this point in time for the National Fire Chiefs Council. Now, I've deliberately put direct entry at the start because actually of all of those, direct entry we recognise is one that is going to be quite challenging to implement across the Fire and Rescue Service. We know that there are a number of stakeholders who are very anti-direct entry, but what we are absolutely sure of is the fact that direct entry provides us with additional pathways to introduce diversity into our organisations and therefore be more inclusive.
Becci, let me just ask you a question. How's direct entry different from the direct entry that we accepted was a process following the Bain review when the BCC course went, and we had quite a few people come in direct entry at senior levels? How is this new direct entry discussion different?
So I think, Jack, the discussion is different because we've got a collective of people in a room who all realise the importance of opening varying pathways across our organisations. And we've not had that before. We know some services have used direct entry. It tended to be larger services and it tended to be at more strategic positions. What we are aiming for with this direct entry piece is 2 levels for people to come into an organisation. But importantly, this isn't just about individuals who aren't working for the fire service. This is as equally applicable for those who are. And those 2 entry levels are at station manager and at area manager. So you can already start to think about the skills that individuals applying for those levels within our organisations would have. Clearly, there is development needed in terms of the operational competence that sits alongside those roles. But actually, if we're looking at someone coming into an area manager role, your expectation would be that they are already going to be proven leaders from a range of organisations who actually see coming into the fire service as an opportunity to build on their existing leadership and management skills. I think the other thing that's really important for me around direct entry are the conversations we're currently having with our Home Office colleagues around the appetite for some funding being made available to drive this centrally. So we have some consistency in the way that it's applied, rather than London do it one way, Staffordshire do it one way, Northumberland do it one way. Now, we recognise that each of those services have their own needs and their own requirements, and that's part of the work of the direct entry work stream at this point in time. They've already done quite a bit of research to find out where services are at, and we're building on that research as we go forwards. But we are at this point in time exploring with our Home Office colleagues how we could fund something that may not look dissimilar to the direct entry scheme that has been operating within our police colleagues nationally for a good few years now. But for us, the levels at which we're pitching this at are more attractive to individuals than perhaps the levels that our police colleagues have pitched at. You can see the other work streams that are up there, but I wanted to really talk about how those work streams are operating and the importance of the groups who are doing this work on our behalf. They are really diverse groups from across the country. We have EDI leads in each of those work streams. That was really important for us as a board, so that we can gather a wealth of information that helps shape the development of the products and the tools that these 4 work streams are aiming to do. And there is a rich set of information already being developed. And I'm really grateful to the EDI working group, who have worked quite hard to develop the range of tools already that Dawn's mentioned. So these are a really important part of the work for us, Jack. But what we need to understand is a bit more about what's going on out there. So there is some work that's been done. We've recently commissioned Mel Research, who are going to undertake some research across all fire and rescue services on our behalf. They're working very closely with the leadership board, and we'll be looking at running surveys and then specific focus groups formed around the themes that come from those surveys. And that's where I see colleagues on the call playing a really important role in helping us to gather insights into what's going on across the sector at the moment. Because I think Dawn used the word assumptions. We make assumptions about what's going on without really understanding the experiences of the people who are in there. Dawn's work streams already conducted a little bit of direct entry research, and the Home Office are also doing some research which we will start to become available over the next few weeks and months. So my plea to colleagues on the call and to colleagues of colleagues on the call is we need you to be involved. It can't just be a group of individuals sat in a darkened room coming up with these ideas. We need your experiences and your insights. They're absolutely crucial to how we take this work forward, because we know some of this is going to be hard. We appreciate that, but that doesn't mean we're not going to do it, because we believe through the National Fire Chiefs Council that these are the right things to do to enhance leadership development and enhance our diversity across our organisations.
So, Becci, just one question to follow up on that. How is direct entry different from a fast track course? So, for example, I think London Fire Brigade used graduate entry schemes where graduates applied, they came in, they had 2 years of basic firefighter training, and then they were fast tracked to senior posts. Is direct entry going to parachute somebody in straight into management positions without the operational skills being given to them, or they're going to have a fast track operational skills course as well? So how would it work? Because I'm sure people will be, one, pleased because this will add diversity, but secondly, concerned around the operational competencies and skills.
Yeah, absolutely, Jack. And it's a great question. So for individuals who'd be applying at either of those levels, there would clearly be some requirement around leadership and management experience. So these are not people who have not been involved in this area of work. It's just that it might have been in local authority, it might have been in health. clearly there has to be an operational competency element that sits alongside it. So these people will go through a program that develops their operational competence at the appropriate level, but that would also give them insight into what operational competence means at levels below them, so that they can have an appreciation on an incident ground about why a firefighter might be doing a specific task, or why are the police worrying about that aspect at a tactical coordinating group, for example. So that would be a very bespoke element that those individuals would be required to undertake and then demonstrate their competency in terms of a accredited qualification that would sit alongside it.
Okay, I'm sure, as I should have said to Dawn as well, AFSA have been involved in the conversations with NFCC on many of these matters, and will continue to support the building of a more diverse fire and rescue service in the future.